Welcome to the Steelers by the Lake podcast. My name is James Strong, joined once again by my co-host, Cody Tanner. Cody, how are you on this Victory Monday?
Oh, James, it is a Victory Monday. It's very exciting. It's very happy. Oh, my Lanta, we took down the Cleveland Browns at home. Revenge game. Needed that one. Felt very, very good to get that dub. And it was much needed, both for kind of, I think, the confidence of the team and just the division. It's getting towards the end of the year. Luckily, the Ravens have an extra loss. Pittsburgh needs to create as much of a gap in this last 4-game span that we have because it's going to be a tough one. James, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay, buddy. I'm doing okay. Excited to talk about this game, though. Let's get into this. A big-time revenge game, and there's a lot to talk about there. But before we get too far into that, there is some news outside of just the inactives and the normal stuff we normally go over. Pittsburgh announced their Hall of Honor folks this year. They've got 4 guys going in. The Willie Parker is going to be in it. Jason Gilden, Dick LeBeau, and Casey Hampton. 4 pretty awesome choices, in my opinion. How do you feel about these guys being the new Hall of Honor guys?
I mean, absolutely love him. If I'm not mistaken, Willie Parker still holds the longest rushing touchdown in Super Bowl history. Jason Gilden, I got to see like kind of the short end of his career when I started getting into football. Very talented individual. Dick LeBeau, phenomenal player and even a better coach, believe it or not. So phenomenal to see him going in. I wish he would come back and coach, in all honesty. And then Casey Hampton, I mean, the slab of meat that he was, no one was bullying him or pushing him around. So I love all 4 of those guys for different reasons. But again, very, very, very exciting. James, now it's time to get into the regular parts of the show. We are going to go over the Steelers-Browns recap from this Week 14 battle in Pittsburgh. Inactives. Do you want to go over inactives before we go too far?
Sure, yeah, the inactives, some surprising, some not. Kyle Allen, not a surprise. George Pickens, big surprise. Unfortunately, that hamstring is an issue, and it was enough of an issue that he was not able to participate. Corey Trice Jr. did not get a helmet. Kind of not a surprise because when you started thinking about, you have to have 5 inactives. James Pierre is a starting gunner. The other guys all had a role on defense. It really didn't leave too many of the normal candidates. Max Sharping, odd man out again on the offensive line, and Dean Lowry, the new odd man out on the defensive line, which has everything to do with the fact that Jonathan Ward is no longer on the roster to do that too.
Yep, absolutely. Before we go into this game recap real quick, we do want to share with you guys real quick. The Edinburgh Hotel Bar is a supporter of Steelers by the Lake. Family-friendly, smoke-free establishment located at 100 Meadville Street in Edinburgh. They offer lunch, dinner, and catering service with private party accommodations available for up to 75 people. Details at edinburghhotelbar.com. Make sure to go check them out. They are awesome supporters of us here at Steelers by the Lake, and we appreciate them very much. I was there for the game on Sunday. It was a great time. Got to enjoy the football with a buddy of mine, James, good buddy. Enjoyed some football and got to see the Steelers win, James. That's the most important thing. And they always, listen, if you're there watching the Steelers game, they always turn the speakers up in big defensive moments and late in the 3rd or 4th quarter, and they play Renegade loud in that bar. And it is a fun time. If you haven't been to a Steelers game, you don't know what I'm talking about, but that is a signature thing that gets played all over the stadium. The screen will dim black. They play Renegade, highlighting all the defensive big plays. And then typically 9 times out of 10, a big play happens, ironically, or whatever, however you want to look at it. But it does happen. But James, now it's time to launch ourselves into this game. What are your thoughts initially, or do you just want to jump into talking stats?
I mean, let's talk about the players before we necessarily talk about their stats, because anybody can read that, really. I felt like they came out flat in this game. It was difficult to watch the Steelers offense because it looked like they really didn't know what to do without George Pickens on the field. And it was pretty rough. Just like anytime they took a deep shot, it always seemed like it was on 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 4. And Russ couldn't even keep those deep balls in bounds in the first half. So it was very, very frustrating to watch, in my opinion. It was just very, just discombobulated. It wasn't smooth at all on offense.
Yep. Yeah, it was very concerning. I thought the same thing, but I've thought that for years now. I feel like almost every single game, Pittsburgh comes out flat, and so it was frustrating to see that again. There were a couple those moon balls that he has, that were just 2 or 3, something maybe even 4 yards, a little too far out of bounds. One deep to Mike Williams. He had a chance to make a play, but unfortunately, I mean, he beat his guy. Russell just couldn't keep the ball in bounds. So it's really frustrating to watch us have these issues consistently. But luckily enough, the defense held true to their style of gameplay this week. A lot of different things happened in this game that we're going to talk about, and unfortunately, I felt that the lack of the presence of George Pickens on the field had a too large of impact, in my opinion, to the game. Mike Williams is just as much of a deep threat, in my opinion. We got to see a one-handed catch from him in this game, a phenomenal catch. I think that if you utilize him the same way you would George Pickens, you can still have that deep threat. It shouldn't change your play calling that much. James, me and you talked about that a little bit during the game and texted. Um, I just wasn't a fan of how much I thought the game plan or the play calling changed from missing one player. Um, I still feel like the team was a little bit too run heavy. I still hate the stupid, check down passes, the quick pass to Calvin Austin that almost got him murdered. I'm not a fan of those little dinks and dunks. I want to see us utilize the middle of the field. I don't care if it's 3 yards. I'd rather see you throw 3 yards down the field than 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage and watch a guy get blown up. So that's my personal opinion. Maybe it's too harsh. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But it was really, really frustrating to watch again. Watch that happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I just felt like in situations like, to me, one of the most frustrating things when you're watching a football game is when it's 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 2, and you take a deep shot. I just don't get the logic behind it. Once in a while, sure, but it seemed like they did it like 7 or 8
Every time.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was insane. In the first half, it was every single time that it was 3rd and short, they bombed it deep. And almost every time they bombed it deep, it wasn't even in bounds. Like,
Nope.
Russ couldn't keep that deep ball in bounds in the first half of this game at all. He straightened it out in the second half. He played very well in the second half of this game. In the first half, just the offense and the flow, everything was just bad. I think the only highlight was a couple of Najee runs early on, and that was about it.
And they weren't phenomenal. I mean, they were some decent runs up there, but it's not like he broke a 30, 40 yarder by any means. And even towards the middle of the game, I felt like Jalen Warren was the heavy hitter in the running game. Najee was kind of getting stuffed up again. There was one time where I was sitting there where I watched an incomplete pass on first down, and I was sitting there and I was like, now it's time to watch a run play get stuffed in the backfield. And it happened as soon as I said it. And I'm like, this is like, it's bad when I'm a normal, okay, a little bit more invested than a normal fan. But when I can watch the game and call what Pittsburgh's going to do, the defense can. The defense knows what's happening. So I'm hoping that they get a little bit more, less consistent, I guess, with their play calling. I want them to get less,
Predictable.
I don't know. Yeah, 100%. So hopefully they learn something, they can do something a little different, and hopefully they can change from that. But James, now let's talk about the team as a whole and break down these individual players. We'll talk quarterback like we always do. Russell Wilson had an okay game this week. Again, we talked about missing some of those long balls. I felt like he was a little off. Even taking the sack to Myles Garrett was really frustrating because I didn't want that. I didn't want Myles to get any kind of numbers this game, and we were doing a really, really good job against him. And then we did give up that one sack for 11-yard loss, and of course Myles gets up shushing the crowd, and everyone's talking. Oh man, that was a fun time at the bar. But Russell Wilson, 15 of 26 for 158 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Good stat line. I still desire more. I want to see more. So I don't know what your thoughts are on it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Just the the feeling that we had of the offense not moving the ball well is reflected in Russ's stat lines, right? That's a very low completion percentage for him. He typically has a much higher percentage than that. But at least you like seeing him not turning the ball over, right? The 2 touchdowns to 0 interceptions, not fumbling the ball. He was taking care of it. That sack was very frustrating to me because Dan Moore just got beat so badly.
Yep.
And, Isaac Ciamalo tried to bail him out, but he just couldn't get there in time to help him out. And when he shoved Myles Garrett, he basically shoved him right into Russell Wilson. So
the same thing that we happened last time with him. So,
yeah.
And unfortunately, Russell was kind of scrambling right into that as well. So,
yeah. It's the one thing that I'll take as a big improvement versus the first game is that the second blocker versus Myles Garrett in this game typically was very effective.
Very.
So the tight end or the running back, whoever it was that was given the task of go hit Myles before Dan Moore has to deal with him, took it very, very serious. So you can tell they made the adjustments from the last game and said, hey, you need to not just get a shot in on him. You need to completely slow his momentum and make him start from 0 all over while Dan gets a chance to get a little depth in his step back there. So I thought that was very, very effective. And on the play that Myles Garrett was successful in winning, he did not have a double team to deal with. He only had to go against one guy. So
Yep. So again, I think Russell, I still think he's improving. I don't think that was a bad game for him by any means, but that offensive performance as a whole was just lackluster and frustrating, and it felt stagnant at times. There were too many 3 and outs. There were too many drives that stalled. This offense has the talent. We've seen it. I mean, even without George Pickens, it has the talent to go deep, to spread the field, to get the ball into different guys' hands. I mean, even in this game, I want to say it was 9 different guys targeted in this offense. And unfortunately, it just doesn't seem like, and I think it's a play calling thing at this point. I know Russell missed a couple long balls, but it also felt it like not correct time to go for those long balls. We talked about that 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, and we're launching it deep. And I feel like Russell's known for doing that. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger even talked about it on the podcast of like, Pittsburgh's not going to shy away from those long bombs. And I almost think we're doing it too much. I think we need to be okay with the check downs or get it to Pat Frymuth or Darnell Washington or even I'd hate watching runs on 3rd and 1 because I feel like we always get stuffed, but spread out the offense, come out with 5 wide and Darnell or Pat wide out and run up the middle. You spread the team out, you get some more running lanes. I'd just like to see more creativity on some of those play calling. But again, not a bad game for Russ. You want to talk about the wide receiver or the receiving numbers here?
Sure. Let's talk about it, man. Kind of a frustrating day as far as who's the guy, I felt like it really needed to be a big focus on Calvin Austin III and Pat Frymuth in this game with George Pickens out, and just not enough to either one of those guys in this game. You got Pat Frymuth with 3 catches for 48 yards and a touchdown, so he's really getting his season going here. Starting, I think he's up to 5 touchdowns on the season now. So starting to put some good numbers together here, but it's just not enough. It's not enough for the level of talent that he is.
Yep.
And Pat is too good to only get 3 balls thrown at him a game. And guess what? He caught all 3 of them. This is the same story week after week. Pat catches everything thrown his way. It's just not enough thrown his way. So they gotta figure out a way to get more creative with getting the ball to him, because good things happen.
Yeah, good things happen when you get Pat the ball. That's for sure. Good things apparently happen when you get Scotty Miller the ball too. Apparently, I don't know when that started happening, but 3 catches on 4 targets for 38 yards. He had 1 phenomenal catch and bound, 1 catch and run. He was just making plays, and I'm astonished to see it and excited to see it. Apparently, he was thrown with Tom Brady this offseason, if I remember correctly. I don't remember. Someone talked about it at the bar. It could, for all I know, it's not even true. But I don't know. I mean, he did play with, if I'm not mistaken, he played with Tom a little bit in Tampa. So just excited to see, someone else coming in and making plays. Scotty Miller, fifth string wide receiver at this point, coming in and making some plays, probably fourth string. No, he's fifth. He's fifth.
Fifth is right because he's the guy that's been inactive every week.
Yep. Yeah. And the only other guy that's come in for him or whatever has been Ben Skoranek. So exciting to see some good plays out of Scotty Miller. Mike Williams, 3 catches on 4 receptions as well for 36 yards. The one phenomenal one-handed, like almost backwards reaching catch. That was nice to see. Jaylen Warren, 2 catches for 25 yards. A lot of dump downs to Jaylen Warren. Unfortunately, he couldn't catch all of them. He was targeted 5 times with only 2 catches. Van Jefferson, 1 for 10 yards and the touchdown. So that's all that matters. 1 for 1 on that. And then Calvin Austin, 1 for 4. Darnell, 0 catches on 1 target. Michael Pruitt had 1 catch for -1 yards. And then Cordell Patterson also had 1 catch for -2 yards. So if you're catching the ball and losing yards, and your name's not Deontay Johnson, it's because you were throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage. So unfortunate to see the number of plays that, and it's not like they're doing like crazy screen plays or trying to be strategic. It's just quick passes that you're hoping you can get the ball there. But luckily for Cleveland, those defenders were making quick plays and really jumping those routes and making contact in the backfield. So hopefully we can get George Pickens back next week. Again, I think that the offensive output in the passing game needs to be better without him. But hopefully next week he comes back and we can get over 200 yards passing again.
Yeah, and I feel like the big flags for me on this one is some of the normal contributors just didn't get a chance to contribute at all in the passing game in this one. Like Darnell Washington gets at least 1 or 2 catches a game every week. He didn't get one this week. Najee Harris has been very effective receiving out of the backfield this season, and he didn't get a target in this game either. So those are some ways that they could have really helped the passing game and just chose not to. So just not enough involvement of the tight end position at all, in my opinion, in this game. Although we did see some good blocking out of Connor Hayward, so you got to give the kid credit. He did something there. Just didn't get a chance to touch the ball. Yeah,
absolutely. And James, we talked about it in the preview show. One of my keys to success was 15 targets for the tight ends. And unfortunately, we only saw 4? 5 targets. So not what I was looking for. And you also had 150 plus yards rushing. The team rushed for 120. We can talk about that real quick. Najee Harris, 16 carries for 53 yards, averaged 3.3 yards per carry. He did have the 1 touchdown, but again, I don't know what's happening with the running game with Najee in there. It just feels like it's becoming non-existent almost. He has a couple big runs a game. He rushed for 20 yards on 1 play, and then he got 33 on 15 other plays. So it's frustrating to see how stagnant that's gotten. Jaylen Warren had 9 rushes for 47 yards. Russell Wilson had 6 for 17, and Cordell Patterson had 4 for 3. Again, Cordell Patterson also had that fumble, almost cost us a large portion of the game where Cleveland was trying to make a comeback. I want to see more Jaylen Warren if he's going to have this output. I'm all for Najee Harris. I'm all for putting him in there. He's great at what he does, but if he's having a game like this, I want to see somebody else in there. I don't want to force the ball to Najee.
I'm with you. If Jalen's the hot hand, you feed Jalen. I'm not sure what you're talking about on the 150 yards rushing because that wasn't a goal for either one of us this week.
Excuse me. I was looking at the 6. My bad. 2 weeks ago, yours was 6 catches for Pat Freiermuth.
Yes,
and he only had 3.
Yeah,
so I knew there was 2 tight end ones.
And I had 2 picks on Jameis, which we nailed. And I'm just going to go ahead and toot my own horn. I absolutely nailed the fucking score, buddy. 100%.
Did you?
27-14. Yep.
Dang, let's go. I didn't realize. I always forget the score. We got to start tweeting that out too, so we can go back and check.
Yep. I had 27-14. You had 53-17.
We're not going to talk about the 53, okay? It's frustrating because the offense should be able to put that out. The offense has the talent. on that roster to put out 53 points a game, and they're just not doing it. That's the frustrating part. But anyways,
Cody, I'm gonna do to you what you did to me last time I put a big score up. It's AFC North. It never happens in AFC North games.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I should have known
except against the Bengals, and then it happens.
Yeah, that's true. Well, then they put up big points too. But I was just mad that I was just mad about this game and how they were. I thought Pittsburgh would come out a little bit more fiery after getting beat on Thursday Night Football in prime time in Cleveland. I thought that the team would have played a little bit better than what they did. But that is what it is. And I'm almost getting worried about I don't want to say the heart of this team, but there's passion when there's big plays. And then I feel like there's just kind of, I'm getting too used to seeing the team okay with us running off after a 3 and out. I'm getting I don't know. It's just frustrating. It happened a lot this game. I wasn't happy with it. I wasn't happy with the play calling. I want to see more. And I don't know if Arthur Smith's just nervous. It's his first time coaching in the AFC North. And, he's being limited. Maybe he's wanting to save some things for the playoffs or next year. But I want to see big points. And maybe that's just a fan being a fan and wanting to see us destroy a team that embarrassed us. But I'm hoping to see more moving forward. And I'm hoping he's keeping some things hidden away that we can see after this. Let's talk offensive line here. Obviously, we talked Dan Moore Jr. letting up the sack. But again, Myles Garrett was kind of pushed into that sack. It's hard to kind of completely blame Dan Moore. Dan Moore did a phenomenal job with all the help he had against Myles Garrett. I thought the interior offensive line looked rough against the run this week, and I don't know why. I felt like they were getting pushed around, not bullied, but I could tell they weren't where they wanted to be all the time. You know what I mean? The one play where I don't know who it was, but they got inside and hit Najee in the backfield, and it was a loss of like 1 or 2 on the play. I couldn't see who got beat on that, but I was just frustrated to see, again, the lack of holes for Najee.
Yeah, I feel like you're getting it out of some of these guys and not out of some of the other ones, and it's tough. I almost feel like Isaac Seumalo just isn't 100% healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's playing
the same thing.
Yeah, I feel like he's playing at like 75, 80%, because he's just getting pushed around more than I'm used to him being pushed around. And what was it? Wasn't it like a pectoral injury or something in the preseason? Pectoral So like I get the power not being all the way there. That's tough, but at the same point in time, like there's no better option right now. And I don't think he's playing poorly. Don't get me wrong. He's just not playing with power like he used to. So I feel like it was a little bit better performance out of what we had with Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick, Broderick Jones than out of the left side of the line. And maybe left guard is something that needs to be addressed for next season. I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe that's something that they need to look into. It's definitely not wide receiver at this point. Let's be real. So we have a lot of depth at wide receiver. We had a lot of depth at cornerback. But hopefully we can hit somebody else. And again, Troy Fautanu is going to come back and that offensive line is going to be stellar. Maybe you invest in another internal or interior offensive line early and maybe we get something else going. I mean, even an offensive tackle. Well, no, because Broderick can go back to the left. So I don't know. There's a lot of moving parts with injuries involved as well. Let's talk about this defense, James, defensive line. I'm going to stop before we go even too far into this. And that's time, James. It is time to share our weekly hotel highlight. And so, James, we're going to pop this up here real quick. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see it. If not, you'll hear it. But we're going to talk about the interception.
7 yards behind the line of scrimmage, trying to set up a screen, and it's intercepted. That is Benton, who comes away with the football.
Phenomenal play by Keanu Benton. James, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
The hotel highlight of the day was a defensive lineman getting an interception. Guess when the last time the Pittsburgh Steelers had a defensive lineman with an interception?
It was Cameron Hayward, I want to say 2021.
You did your research, didn't you?
No, they said it during the broadcast, buddy.
Oh, son of a gun. I didn't hear the broadcast. I was watching it at the bar and they didn't have it loud enough. Guess who we picked off?
I don't know that one.
Well, I'm going to show you, James. He picked off one current Pittsburgh Steeler, Justin Fields.
Oh, that's funny.
So back in 2021 against the Chicago Bears, week 9 was the last time a defensive lineman picked off a quarterback, and it was Cam Hayward against Justin Fields. How ironic that they are now teammates. So I thought that was a fun little fact.
Very fun.
Finding fact of the day. So
very fun. Also, I think it has to be said that a lot of credit needs to be given to Beanie Bishop on that play.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Jumping up.
Yep. Yeah, because Beanie Bishop forced him the double clutch before he threw it, which gave Keanu Benton more time to get in place. I mean, Keanu Benton read it, and he read it like a book that was in really, really huge print. It was very easy for him to read, and he got in position. He made one heck of a play on it. I would have loved to have seen him get a chance to actually return it a little bit, but Nick Chubb jumped on his back right away. But heck of a job by both of those men on that play. Making a very momentum-turning play happen there.
Yeah, that definitely took a change in the second quarter. Pittsburgh didn't allow any points in the second quarter or third quarter. They wound up putting up 10 in the second, 14 in the third. So love to see Pittsburgh's defense doing things. That was one of the 2 interceptions. We'll get to the other one here shortly. But looking at that defensive line, Cam Hayward had 2 sacks on the day. Also had 2 tackles for loss, 5 total tackles on the day. Larry Ogunjobi had 2 tackles. Again, not seeing much out of him. I really feel like sooner or later we got to see something else. Otherwise, in my mind, that's the first position that we need to look at the draft. Unless one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks falls to us and you want to justify, hey, we're not sold on Justin Fields, get a guy to work on while I'd be okay with that. We're not getting too far into that because that's a whole conversation. But this other outside defensive lineman, I just feel like we're not getting any push or pull from. And it's kind of like the sole weakness on that defensive front. Keanu Benton is making a statement at the defensive tackle position. Cam Hayward is the solidifying piece of that defensive line. And then you got Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt on both exteriors as outside linebackers that are blitzing half the time or over half the time. Ogunjobi is the only starter in my mind that's really not shown a lot.
Yeah.
So
especially as a pass rusher, right? He's had a couple flashes here and there against the run where he defeats his guy and gets a tackle for loss. But as a pass rusher this year, he's shown very, very little. And there's no there's no one else to put in there is the problem right now. Dean Lowry, Dean Lowry's an older veteran. He's not going to magically get better. I think Larry Ogunjobi is like 29 at this point, so he's not going to magically turn into some superstar. So to me, it's absolutely a position that has to be addressed in the first 3 rounds of this upcoming draft class. Preferably in the first 2 rounds. If you're waiting until the 3rd round, then I think it should be a nose tackle and move Keanu Benton over to that defensive end position, because I honestly think Keanu can really excel as the 3-4 defensive end who plays a little bit on the inside.
He's 30.
Ogunjobi's 30 now?
Yep.
Yeah, he's definitely not getting any better.
He turned 30 in June. Happy late birthday.
Yeah, and this is his 3rd year with Pittsburgh, right?
I can double check that stat, but I am almost positive it is his 3rd.
Yeah, because it was a 3-year deal, if I remember correctly. So that's it.
Correct.
Yeah. So his contract's up at the end of this season. And honestly, I really don't think they should re-sign him.
Yeah, I mean, based off last year's stats, I'd be okay with it. 2 pass breakups, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, and 3 sacks. That's okay.
But it's not $9 million okay.
No, and this year he has nothing. It's 1.5 sacks. Just not doing a whole lot for us, unfortunately.
For $9 million, you better be getting me at least 5 or 6 sacks on a season. And does he have 6 sacks in all 3 seasons combined yet? I don't think he does.
He does. I think he has exactly 6.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
No,
by any means. So hopefully he can get his act together for the end of the year, or again, like you said, first or second round of the draft, maybe 3rd at the latest, address that position. if you think you got someone that'll fall to us in the third. But that is what it is. Let's talk about a position that we definitely don't probably need to address in the draft. It is the outside linebacker room.
Yeah.
Dear Lord. TJ Watt had a tackle for loss, 4 tackles, and 2 QB hits. Alex Highsmith had a sack, 3 total tackles, 2 QB hits. And then you also had other guys coming in that were putting pressure on him. It was just very, very exciting to see these guys getting involved. TJ, again, a quiet game. I almost felt like he was trying to play strategic. So many times he started to rush the passer and then he kind of back off. I think he was almost looking for the quick passes and getting a pick or waiting to see Jameis scramble. Not sure exactly what was going on, but I wasn't seeing the best pass rush out of him, not because of lack of effort, but I think he was trying to do other things in this game.
Yeah, and a lot of times in this game too, he had to work through a tight end or a wide receiver before he could even get to Jack Conklin. So again, with the getting through 2 to 3 blockers on every single snap, I felt that he was dominant against the run, just not as productive as we like to see as a pass rusher in this game. But again, dedicating 2 to 3 guys to blocking him on every play. So that's pretty tough to have a large impact. But that's why we saw so much production from the other side, right? Alex Highsmith getting a sack, Cameron Hayward getting 2 sacks. That all came from the other side because they were giving all their attention over to TJ. And that's why it's so important. And that's why we're stressing it so much that we get a little more production out of that other interior defensive lineman because we're getting it from the other side. Cam Hayward's having a monster year. TJ or Alex Highsmith, when healthy, has been playing very well. Nick Herbig's been looking good in the lesser amount of snaps that he gets in between. You're getting the production on the other side. Nobody's helping TJ on his side. They can double and triple team him all day long because the other guys aren't winning their one-on-ones. No one's making him pay on that side for double teaming and triple teaming TJ. And you got to have it. You want to see TJ get back into 20 sacks a year, he needs somebody next to him that can command a double team.
Yeah. And I mean, even like Larry Ogunjobi, we talked about it. Larry Ogunjobi is typically on that side with him, and you're not going to get any extra help on Larry Ogunjobi.
You don't need to.
No, you barely need one player.
Yep.
Sorry, that was kind of mean. But I mean, let's be real. That's just the way it is. Let's jump over to middle linebackers. I thought this was a phenomenal game from Patrick Queen. Almost felt like he dealt with an injury early on. I think he might have overextended his arm when he was trying to tackle somebody. So again, 10 tackles from him, a pass breakup. Peyton Wilson had a phenomenal game as well. 4 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. I felt like he was flying all over the field, not as involved or big plays that I would like to see, but he was all over the place. And Landon Roberts had one really big play again. And was it that 4th down stop or what was it?
It was a 4th down where they ran it like a toss. And he got out there and blew up the starting center, Ethan Pochich, knocked him on his butt, which forced it to continue going to the outside. And all the help got there. And I think it was a play that went for a loss on like 4th and 4. So a drastic improvement for the defense here. As to where last time they played the Browns, every single 4th down was a conversion, whether it was a first down or a touchdown. Not the case this time. The Steelers defense really stepped up, and I couldn't agree with you more. Really nice game out of Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson really flying to the ball too. So the middle linebacker room definitely represented themselves very well. But the only guy that flew around more than any of them, Deshaun Elliott, Cody, starting to look more like what he looked like at the beginning of the season in this game.
Yeah, making big hits, making big plays, and showing that he's batting balls down. He had the 1 pass breakup. Just phenomenal game from him. I'm seeing consistently either improvement or staying the same. I felt like again we saw this out of him in the beginning of the year, like you said, and we were super excited. We were talking about how Minka is going to be able to be Minka with Deshaun next to him, and then he kind of flattened out a little bit. I don't know if if there was a lingering injury or if it was just the play calling went away from him or whatever it was. But leading the team in tackles with 13, 1 pass breakup, playing very, very well. The Minka with 5 tackles. Again, I think people are just staying away from Minka. He's not getting an opportunity to do anything. And it's unfortunate for his stats, but it's helping the rest of the team out. Like it's hey, if we know the team's not going to target Minka, we have less areas of the field to guard or worry about. However, I do hate the one touchdown to Jerry Jeudy. I don't know whose man it was, or if it almost looked like it was cover 3 or cover 2. If it was a cover 3, Minka didn't fall back into coverage. He might have been playing a lower third, or just a middle of the field kind of zone. With how wide Joey Porter and I think it was Deshaun were, it looked like it might have been cover 3. I wish I knew the play call so I could kind of break that down in my head more. But Minka was rolling with Jeudy, and then Jeudy went behind him, and he just didn't fade back with him, and it was wide open in the end zone for a touchdown.
And I think a lot of that play has everything to do with how far Jameis ran, and the defense started to kind of bail on their coverage. And I've got a still shot that I took of that, where you can't even see the line of scrimmage. He's so far past it. Now you can see where his foot is and where the line of scrimmage is. I couldn't get a still shot of when the ball was out of his hands, so it's still in his hands. The heel of his back foot is basically at the line, but the ball's still in his hands in this picture that I'm going to post on our Facebook. So look for it there if you haven't seen this. If he is still at the line, it is by an inch, maybe 2 at the most. He is 99% of his body past the line. Now all it takes is that 1% for it to be legal. But the fact that the broadcasting crew didn't even look at it, and the line judge was lined up a yard past the line of scrimmage, so he wasn't even in position to judge whether or not he was past the line. So just a complete failure by the referees and the broadcast crew. We deserve to have a better look at that, and they never gave it to us. So all you get is what the original shot was.
So here's what I'm going to say about this, James, because we texted about this and I thought James was being James and complaining about something. I just pulled it up and I want to show this to everybody, because I see what you're talking about. The line judge is right here. If you're watching on YouTube, and then here is where the line is actually marked. So it's either a bad mark by the line judge, or
he's standing at the wrong spot.
He's standing at the wrong spot. And so I agree. This, in my mind, this is still a legal pass, but it wasn't talked about.
And the ball's still in his hands at this point, right? So we got to go frame forward till that ball's out. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, I see. And if you're not watching on YouTube, I apologize. This is a time to advertise the YouTube channel. Come watch on YouTube. But I do see what you're saying, where it's very, very
difficult
close
to pause it at the perfect spot. So the 2 screenshots I have,
I mean, right there, that's kind of it.
And he's past the line at that point.
He's past it at that point. So, again, that is probably because of but oh wait, no, hold on.
Because the line of scrimmage is not at the 35; it's at the 36. He's past the 36 there.
The line of scrimmage, I believe, is at the 35 because of the third down marker. This is the 10.
No, look at the first down. You can see where the first down marker is. You go back 10 yards. It's at the 36. It's not at the 35.
So they're just all kinds of willy wonky.
The referee's standing at the wrong spot. The flag's at the right spot, but the referee's not.
Well, this is 3rd and 9. So from this mark to this mark should be 10 yards, which it is. I believe it's actually marked correctly, but I understand how it looks. That is marked correctly. So from this marker to this marker is 10 yards. This is where the drive started. It's marked 3rd down and 9. So that does make sense. I understand more now looking at it slower and this way. So 3rd and 9 would be at the 35.
Okay.
So it does make sense.
I thought the line of scrimmage was the 36 at this play, which would have put him past the line.
Yep. So now I understand where you were coming from more. But again, now that it is legal. It is a legal touchdown. But I understand with you seeing it that way why you wanted it talked about, because that would have been very, very confusing, to say the least. But again, going back to the secondary, I thought Minka had a quiet, good game. I just feel like he's not getting opportunity to make Minka like plays, which is very, very, very unfortunate. With that being said, I thought Joey Porter had a better game than his last game. He didn't have like 5 or 6 pass interference calls, so that was good. Beanie Bishop, I thought, had a good game, 6 tackles, played phenomenal. I almost would rather see him in there any more than Cam Sutton. Cam Sutton did have an injury, if I'm not mistaken, on this game. We'll talk about that later. And then also want to talk about real quick Dante Jackson. Dante Jackson had 2 tackles. I thought that was a quietly good game from him. And then James, the guy of the hour. Let's talk about him.
James Pierre with a Dante Jackson type interception where it goes straight into his chest, and the option is
catches it
or not.
He catches it. That's all that matters.
Couldn't catch it on a fake punt, but he can catch this. So hey.
Oh, I hope the special teams coordinator went berserk on him for that. Jokingly, with all love. But that is funny that is how that happened. James, you want to talk special teams?
Yeah. So Boswell with another perfect game, no surprise there, right? But probably the man of the hour here, right? Ben Skoranek. He does it again on special teams with a big play, the muffed punt, and he's the Johnny on the spot. He's right there, and he's right there because he's so talented as a gunner that he had defeated his blockers again, and he's the first man down there, and he recovers it, and it's a big game-changing thing. Flipping the field and really helping Pittsburgh seal the game with a victory by recovering that muffed punt. So awesome job by Ben Skoranek. And I think, honestly, he's really making it so that Pittsburgh is going to want him back in a big way on next year's team.
Yep. James, real quick, just because we were talking about the quarterback or the wide receiver room earlier, Gary Dulac, the expectation is George Pickens will miss the Eagles game as well with that hamstring injury. So just a little update for everyone listening or watching there. James, last but not least, let's chat about the other one. You want to talk about him?
Corliss Waitman?
Yeah, might as well.
He had a good game.
He had a good game. 6 punts, 314 yards, 52 average, 1 inside the 20. Good job for him. Injuries, Larry Ogunjobi did go down at some point with a groin injury. Don't know any details on that right now. Dante Jackson also went down with an injury, returned. Was it Dante? I thought it was Cam. I might have been confused and thought I saw Cam on the ground as well.
He might have gone down too, but Dante went down and did not. Well, he did return late in the game. Larry Ogunjobi was bad enough that he changed his street clothes.
Dang.
So, yeah, he was in street clothes in the second half of that game, which was kind of ironic because since they didn't dress Dean Lowry, that meant there was only 3 defensive linemen healthy for the second half of that game. But yeah, look to see Montravius Adams brought up from the injured reserve this week for sure. And if this is a significant groin injury to Larry Ogunjobi, this might be it. He might be going on the injured reserve.
Yeah, that could definitely be it, and that would call for an interesting, probably free agent move, or like you said, other guys on the team might be called up. So I definitely keep an eye on that.
Loudermilk, buddy. I think they'll just start Isaiah Loudermilk. They'll have Dean Lowry as the backup, and then with Montravius Adams coming back from injury, I think they'll just roll with that crew. Then they still have the rookie who's on injured reserve that they could bring back also. If he's healthy enough. I haven't heard anything about his health.
Yeah, no updates from him that I've seen. But with that being said, that's going to wrap up today's episode, breaking down the Steelers and Browns' second divisional matchup of the year, Week 14 of the 2024 season. We got 4 games left ahead of us. Eagles next, and then it's Ravens, Chiefs. No, it's Eagles, Chiefs. I think it's Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So 2 more division games and 2 games against some of the best teams in the NFL. So keep your eyes posted. We're excited for that. We can't thank you guys enough for listening or watching. Be sure to like and follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Subscribe, ring the bell. It's free. It doesn't cost you a thing. Don't forget 5-star reviews on a podcast. You get a shout out. You'll make James very happy. And until next time, this is your host, James and Cody, signing off.
Peace.